What's up, guys? Welcome to Operation B, the podcast. I am your host, Jamie Thurber, and I am here to take you on a journey of deepening, of expansion, of understanding more about who you are and why you're here and how to operate in an optimal way that allows you to do what you want to do, feel how you want to feel, take care of yourself truly, and support everything that your heart desires. What's up, guys? Hello and welcome back to the Operation B podcast. This is Jamie, your host, and I'm coming at you from the home studio today, the home office space, and we're going to have one of our little chats. My favorite episodes are definitely this. I will not lie. I'm feeling slightly uncomfortable about putting a longer form conversation podcast on this channel because I have established my relationship with you based on having easy to digest episodes, meaning 20 to 30 minutes. Some of these other conversations will be closer potentially to an hour, but my hope is that it's engaging and entertaining enough that you stick around and you get lots of nuggets from it. And of course, I will be open to all of your feedback as that starts happening. Today, I want to talk about a very unpopular thing. I feel like I talk a lot about unpopular things with you. But this is something that when I say it, people have very visceral, so like physical reactions. They also get very defensive. And what's funny is when I lean in and ask more questions, they don't really know why they're defensive. So, which makes it one of my favorite kinds of topics. And what it is the slowdown, the art of slowing down, and how it is such a power move. The world that we live in is very fast-paced. I've known this, but I noticed it on a different level when my coach, Jessie, moved to Costa Rica. I was working with her still in an apprenticeship, but I was also working with her on her team. And so hearing about the differences and then her and I talking about me going there and why it would be so healing for my body is that in America, we are bombarded, and this is how most of the world is, not just America, but we're bombarded constantly by stimulation, whether it's flashing lights, it's billboards that are now screens, it's just constant stimulation, okay? Constant things that are bombarding us. And there's a lot of pressures that come from quote unquote modern life, right? So our natural stress state tends to be quite heightened above where it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago. Like it just keeps increasing as our lifestyles continue to go that way. All of that to say, it is very unrealistic for us to ever say that we're going to completely avoid stressors because that's part of being a human being. It's also part, because obviously before we had all the flashing lights and stuff, there were stressors of like, oh, do we have clean water, or is that bear going to eat me? Like those kinds of things. We've always had stressors. The difference is that our body had enough capacity to regulate them differently, less trauma, less stimulant to regulate things differently than it's able to today unless we choose to pay specific attention to it. So that's the part where I want to talk today about that and be able to share a bit of my experience and also why this can be so healing and so beneficial, not only to you, but your family, your friends, your workspace, especially if you're a boss or a manager. This is a huge game changer. When we're in high pressure situations, a lot of times our nervous system is consistently in survival mode. It is constantly in the, don't forget, do this, all over the place, right? So it's very heightened and very engaged. And of course, everybody I speak to is like, but I have ADHD, I can't slow down. It's like, yeah, you actually can. You just have to want to. It is possible. There's a way to do all those things. It just has to be a desire that you create. Could I say it's easier for you to slow down than it might be for me, depending on the day for me? Maybe, maybe not. Everybody needs to stop hiding behind labels and excuses and instead decide, hey, this is something I want to work on for myself, and here are ways I can do that. So anyway, survival mode. We tend to be living in residing in this buzz of survival mode. It's like a system attack, right? Like your system is on guard, and that alone is exhausting and draining and very damaging to our nervous system. So if you remember early on in season 2 of the show, I talked to you guys about my adrenal glands and how I realized that they were shot, right? So when that happened, a lot of people just assumed it's because I overdrank caffeine or I didn't take good care of myself. And sure, I was a Monster girl, literally like worked for Monster Energy. Like I drank plenty of energy drinks and coffee and whatever, but that wasn't really it. What it was the constant heightened level of stress. And so as I've been healing my body, there have been many realizations as to where the stress levels also have to go down. And so that's where you start to identify things in your life that maybe were supposed to be something that created less stress for you at one point. They were supposed to be relaxing habits that then became stressful because you had to rush to get there, or you were holding yourself to some standard that was not easy to get to, whatever it might be. With that being said, I want you to understand that this is a very introspective, like reflective thing for you to observe and be able to identify from yourself. And if you're not sure if said thing is causing a level of a stress response in your body, do a little Googling, do a little also sitting and just paying attention to patterns and feeling that you feel. So back to the point of saying that avoiding stressors is unrealistic. It is. But what I've been working on with my coach and what I know to be true is that you can build up, just like you can with anything, a tolerance or an ability to manage it differently, to allow the stress to move when it needs to, but not take over your whole life and become something you're ignoring or something that's leading and guiding every move that you make. So to the slow down portion of this conversation, me saying it's a power move because the world has told you that you're supposed to move very quickly through everything, accomplish things faster than ever before, all of this stuff. Like example, this is showing up even in something like sports. One of the shows that I'm helping edit is 4 pitchers talking. Well, 3 pitchers and a sports announcer. Okay. So in that they were just talking last week about how much the game has sped up and how because the players are playing at a higher level and they're throwing faster, pitching faster, batting faster, all that stuff, that there's a need for some technology to be brought in because it's more than an umpire can keep up with. This is a very similar conversation as to what happens in current hockey today versus, of course, my fiance played hockey in the 90s and he was an enforcer and the game was drastically different then than it is now. And it's a very common conversation people ask me about when it comes to, well, what's the difference between hockey, or why doesn't anybody fight? And the difference is that the players and the speed that they're moving at and the skill set that they have is very, very different. It's elevated beyond what the majority was then and what is now. And so the speed thing is definitely everywhere around us. And so in a world that's telling you to move faster, do more, and be bigger and better, slowing down is a ballsy thing to do. It's a ballsy thing to do. And the thing that I like about it is you can go read about the most insightful, the most successful people, and you'll find that they reached their pinnacles of success when they decided to slow down. So why do you think, to me, I refuse to believe that I have to reach a pinnacle to slow down? Then I get to slow down? No, I'm going to slow down now. And when I say slow down, I don't mean that you're not still accomplishing the things, but you're doing it with a different state of mind and with a different level of energy. So I move slower, or do my best to move slower. It is a daily practice to move slower through my interactions, especially at home. Like I try to move slower through house cleaning, through picking up, through doing dishes, cooking dinner. I like to call it I'm trying to mosey. So like just trying to mosey through here and not be like speed demon, because my body couldn't handle it anymore. Genuinely, every time I would go into high speed mode, I'd feel the anxiety and stress in my system being like, I'm tapped out, can't do this anymore. So when I say that slowing down is a power move, that's what I mean by that. It's strategic. It's intentional. It is you daring to take care of yourself just as much as you are all of the tasks around you. Genuinely caring for yourself. And so just like in the world we live in now, self-love has become pretty radical, like genuinely true self-love. Saying no without giving an explanation, pretty radical. Daring to take care of yourself on a level that requires you then to act differently than the quote unquote majority, pretty radical, right? Rest, not laziness, and not resting because you've killed yourself for 5 days and you have no choice but to rest. Resting because you deserve and you can rest. Also very radical choices, right? Something to think about around this conversation is, where can I do that? So some of it because the reason this is so important is because slowing down your emotions is truly one of the only ways to heal your nervous system, truly. What I mean by that, now I'm not a scientist, I'm not a therapist, but if you look this up, this is scientifically backed, that our nervous system gets to this heightened state and it has a very hard time coming down from it until we are able to create a sense of calm in a place where it can. Like rest and digest. You'll hear people say that. Well, that was literally something I was never doing. So my food was not digesting properly. I was not absorbing nutrition because my body and mind were in such a constant state of stress and in froze mode or fight or flight that it couldn't rest and digest. So me being able to sit and move calmly. I even have a hard time sometimes because, as you probably know, for being a viewer or a listener, I talk really fast. I always have talked really fast. And I even try to slow that down sometimes, especially when I get upset. Like, I definitely talk a whole lot faster. But it's these things to catch because parents, you've heard me talk about before, if you have children especially, that the way you start your day and the way you start their day sets the tone for the rest of it. So if you're starting your day panicked, which I often tell people, I talk to clients a lot about, like, let's not do that. Because if you're starting your morning rushing and panicking, the rest of your day is going to feel the same way. But if you're doing that to your children, you're teaching them that that's the only way. You're also putting them in that elevated state as they go through the rest of their day. So then if later you get a note from the teacher saying that your child was reclusive, or they were chaotic, or they were more ornery, or had short-tempered than they normally do, I bet you don't think about the way you started your day that day and how it possibly affected them. So as a parent, the state of your nervous system is the state of your home's nervous system, your whole family. Most of the time, to be very honest, it's the women, it's the moms. Is that fair? No. Is that typically how it works? Yeah. The mom's state of her nervous system, will then dictate the way the whole nervous system in the house is. So if she's constantly frazzled, exhausted, angry, unappreciated, all the things that I hear the most from my people that are mothers, that is setting the tone for the whole house. That's a lot of pressure, okay? So when I say that, I don't mean, oh, hey, moms, get your fucking shit together. This is your fault. What I mean is, hey, husbands and wives, or moms and dads, or moms and kids, let's make this a priority so we can make a shift for everyone. Because that's a powerful thing. That's a fucking power move. If you're a business owner or a manager and you are not in control of your emotions, your energy, your ability to move through tasks and have clear communication, if you're not taking that seriously, you can't blame your team if they're not 100% clear on where you're going. See, now I'm different because I live with a person who is ADHD, and a lot of genuinely, it does not slow him down at all, meaning he doesn't stop doing what needs to be done. It's not a hindrance on him by any means. There are some pieces of it that sure are from time to time, but he's learned how to use that as a tool, and it works. He still practices a slowdown though. In the morning when he gets up and in the evening when he comes home, that's something he practices, is how he can slow his system down enough to a place where he can have a restful sleep. He can digest his dinner. He can enjoy the evening. Because if he doesn't do that, the next day winds up chaos. It all just floods into each other if he doesn't control it. So this is, again, something that I practice, and Tony has been practicing longer than I was aware that it was a thing, but he does actively practice that on a daily basis. And so as a business owner, if you're not regulating your own nervous system, the likelihood that you're influencing everyone that works for you or everyone that you interact and putting them on their head too is pretty high. So if you want your team to perform differently, you need to learn how to either control your nervous system and energy level when you're interacting with them, or, which would be my favorite, this or would be the one I would choose, learn how to hold that in all areas of your life. Learn how to navigate that differently for yourself in your own home and your own well-being, because a constant heightened level of stress causes a lot of problems like heart disease and anxiety and digestive problems and insomnia and I could go on and on and on. Now, we have a lot of things already in our country, in our food, in our culture that are causing these things that we don't always have control over. But this thing, we do. I like to find things that I have control over and can change to accompany changes that I'd like to see in my life. And this is one of them. How do we do this? It can literally be as simple as choosing to fold the laundry without feeling like you're in a fucking race. Now, everyone's like, haha, it must be nice, Jamie. I have 5 kids. I have no choice, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But what if you tried? Because if you did it, and it's going to be hard at first, that can change the whole tone of the energy in your home. Very, very easily. To where there's not a need for that crazy rush. A lot of times also, we're creating that for ourselves. If you've got a million things scheduled in the 2 hours after school that are unrealistic and hard to achieve, you're doing this to yourself. It's damaging your nervous system, but it's also affecting that of your children. Oh, there's a lot of studies that show kids who are constantly on the go and never have time to just relax in their own home, in their own rooms, develop a lot of different behavioral issues, anxieties, things like that. It's just not the way that we were designed to exist. And so as the big people in the room and as the business owners and managers in the room, we get to have the cool job of choosing to act differently so that we can positively impact the people around us. So for choosing to walk slower or move slower, that can be putting the laundry away. That can be in the walk from my upstairs kitchen to my basement office. That can be the walk from the building to my car or vice versa. That can be in, like, for me, my biggest thing is not multitasking. Sometimes I have to in certain situations, and I don't like it because multitasking is genuinely not a productive thing to do, and people don't love it when I say that, but it's true. But if you're not, when I say not multitasking, I mean things like if you were to cook your dinner without watching TV or listening to the radio, if you were to sit down and eat your dinner without your phone, you were just focused on what you were eating and how it was nourishing your body and it was nutritious and it was this and it was that. The more things you can notice in a moment, typically the more calm your nervous system is. The more things you can feel in a moment in your body, the more calm your nervous system is. So these are little things to look for. I know with my therapies and my coach, one of the things I keep an eye on is, can I feel my legs? That's me clapping my legs if you can hear. Can I feel my legs? Can I feel where gravity is pulling my leg meat, for lack of a better description, and bones to the ground or to the top of the chair? Can I feel that? Yes. Can I feel where my one foot, the weight of my one foot is on my other, where my feet are crossed? Can I feel the pain that's in this shoulder blade right now and it's annoying me? Yes. Those kinds of things where if you're outside, this is one of my favorite, you can do it anywhere, but one of my favorite like presencing or slow movement behaviors. It's funny, I knew of this long before I was aware of what I'm talking to you about now, and it was a way that I would create presence for myself. But what this also does is very healing for your system, and it's the 5 senses exercise. So, because if you're not present and in your body, you can't do this. It doesn't work. So the 5 senses exercise is, I always tell my clients to step outside because it's just, then they're also getting some sunshine or some fresh air too. But you can do it anywhere, in an airport, in a room, wherever you want. Excuse me, I'm yawning for whatever reason. So you can, 5 senses is name 3 things that you can hear. So right now I can hear my computer. I can hear the air conditioning and I can hear the dehumidifier that's playing in the hallway outside my room. Playing, you know what I mean? It's on. It's not playing anything. It's doing work out there. I can hear that. What can I feel? My mouth feels kind of dry. I can feel the gravity of my legs, and I can feel my hands intertwined the way they are. I also can feel pain in this shoulder. What can I see? A webcam, all the tabs open on my computer, myself, the microphone. These are things I can see. What are things I can smell? This candle that's over here. I can also smell the lip gloss that I put on because it has mint in it. So it's all your five senses. This is something that can bring you down from an anxiety attack too, by the way. But it's bringing you back to the moment. So if you're going through your five senses and thinking, what are three things I can hear? What are three things I can smell? What are three things I can see? What are three things I can taste and then feel, right? I lost my train of thought in the middle of that. But you know your five senses. That's what it is. But by doing that, it's a presencing tool, brings you into the moment, and it slows you down. Because I'm not going, I can hear. What can I smell? Like none of that. It's like, okay, let me pause for a minute because I have to see what I can hear. Because you have to stop talking or all you hear is your own damn voice, right? This is the exercise. If you did that once a day, it would be helpful for sure. If you did it more than once a day, it would be even better. But it's those kinds of things. It's in the act of just pausing for a moment. One of the biggest things that I think is honestly one of the most rewarding tools I've ever brought into my life, and I wish more people would understand the amount of good that comes from this, would be the power of the pause. So the power, which I think we've actually done a whole episode maybe about this. I don't remember. At this point in my career, I feel like I forget what I've done a training on versus what's an episode. I don't know. But the power of the pause. If you don't know what I'm talking about and you want me to talk about this, I could do a whole episode on it. Comment below and let me know. But the power of the pause would be the pause between reacting. It's a pause between making a decision. It's a pause between answering that text message or not, responding or not, picking up the phone or not, putting hand on the hot stove or not, making your bed or not. Like all of the things that happen in that pause are beautiful because they're your choice. They're not an unconscious decision, but it also then impacts the ripple effect that comes from everything you do after the pause. Whether it's you do nothing after the pause, or that you answer the phone, or that you do touch the hot stove and burn yourself, or that you don't make your bed, you might not feel as productive because mentally we know that triggers something in our mind for the day. There's a lot of ripple effect that comes from every decision. And if we took it more seriously, not as pressure, by the way, not as pressure. If we took it more seriously in a way that gave us more power, again, slowing down is a power move, that's more power in your own life, in your own business, in your own relationships, in your own mind. That is really the whole fucking point of this entire show. My point is, I want you to think for yourself. I want you to come outside of the 10-mile radius or 5-mile radius of people who look like you, think like you, talk like you, and have perspectives that are your own, not influenced by everyone around you, but your own. That's always my goal. Always, always, always. So I'm going to leave you with that because I feel like I could harp on about this topic for a really long time and then it makes it more complicated than it needs to be. This is one of those that you might want to listen to more than once because it's going to potentially take that to sink in. But if the only thing you took from this was walking a little slower and doing the five senses exercise once a day, it'll take you literally like 2 minutes max. Your nervous system will help you. It will be helpful. It will be happy because it will be helpful. As always, if you like this episode, please hit the share button. If you think anyone else can benefit from this and you send it to them, I greatly appreciate that. If you have not already subscribed, make sure that you go wherever you're listening or watching, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button if you want to be notified every time we release an episode. And if you have not left a review yet, please do so. And until next time, friends, I'll see you then. Bye. Thank you for listening to Operation B, the podcast. To support this message and to support the show, please make sure that you like, follow, and share the podcasts wherever you enjoy listening. And be sure to leave us a review on iTunes. Thank you for being here and see you next time.